My name is Busayo and I just thought I should introduce myself as your host on Broken Road podcast. We'll try and make it a weekly podcast, and the foundation for Broken Road is based on Isaiah chapter 61 verse 1, which says that he has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted and to proclaim the captives will be released and prisoners will be freed. Our vision on Broken Road is to proclaim healing, freedom, and liberation from abuse.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Broken Road. Broken Road is that space where we proclaim healing, liberation, and freedom from abuse. My name is Busayo. I'm your host. I appreciate everyone for joining me again today, and my sincere gratitude to everyone who has been following us consistently on this podcast. So today on Broken Road, we're going to be discussing the topic which I tagged Know Your Stress and Where You Store It. So knowing your stress to me means understanding and knowing the things that bring you stress or that cause you stress. Where you store that stress is your body's response to the stress, and it helps you identify those things that bring you stress, because sometimes what we do is we tend to ignore the signals that our body is giving us. And I sincerely think that this might be due to the fact that we consist of a spirit. That is my belief based on the Bible, and we are housed in a body. So I think our spirit remains whole. Even the Bible the Bible tells us in James 2:26 that the body apart from the spirit is dead. So there's a difference between our body and our spirit. And if you pay close attention to maybe like the older people around us, like the aging people, for instance, my dad, he lived until he turned 85 before he died. So I watched him through the years as he grew older and frail. But what I noticed was that the voice that was coming out of his body remained the same. So even though his body's functioning were declining over time, his voice was still strong. His voice was still the same voice. So that's, then I used to think about it that, it's still like, even there was even at some point, like towards the end of his life, when he was bedridden, and whenever I call home to speak to him, his voice still sounded the same way. If you had told me that, he's fine, he's the way he was 20 years earlier, there was no difference in the voice. So that helped me understand that there's a difference between our spirit and our body. So sometimes I think that we ignore the signals because our spirit is strong. So we think, okay, everything around us is fine. And we even think that we're managing our stress appropriately until things begin to fall apart. I'll give you a personal example. In December this year, I had some issues with a very dear friend of mine. I won't even call him a friend. He's more of a brother to me than a friend. And we've had a steady relationship, a very good relationship over time, and he's always there for me, always assisting me with my business growth and things like that. So he sent me a series of messages at that time, and when I read the messages, I was misinterpreting what he put there. Like he was writing something, I was interpreting it as something different from what he was communicating to me. I didn't even realize I was under that much pressure until I spoke to my older brother and I was explaining the situation to him. And he was like, you're under stress. And I didn't know, like my body didn't recognize the stress. I didn't even know I was under stress. I thought I was managing my life very well. I'll give you a picture of what I have presently now on my plate. Okay, I'm working full time. I got a job last year full time because I was thinking of I actually practice as an attorney. I have my private practice. I've been doing that for over 12 years. And because I'm transitioning into the counseling profession, so I started I need a job so that way I can begin to phase out my private practice. Okay, but my private practice is still ongoing, though I've reduced my workload because I had to reduce my workload, and now I'm more selective of the type of people I decide to work with. But I have a full-time nine to no, it's not 9 to 5. I work from 7 to 3:30, which is 8 hours job. Okay, I have my private practice. Okay, I have some other businesses which I'm trying to grow. One of it is immigrationhelp.com. So I'll bundle the businesses because they're about 2 or 3. I'll bundle them into one. So I have full-time work, full-time practice, businesses, right? I have a family. I'm married. I have children. I have school. I'm a full-time student at the Houston Baptist University. I'm in my 3rd year. And right now, because I'm in my clinical year, so to speak, so I'm doing my practicum. So I have to be at my site as well. And that is another job that I'm doing. So imagine all this. And that doesn't mean that I don't have relational problems. I don't have a problem, like not issues that, in my relationship. So that's, imagine having all that. And in my mind, I still think I don't have stress. That's how I've been operating. It was until I started experiencing the physical manifestation of stress. That was when I was like, okay, you know what? I need to start taking things, removing things from off my plate. And apart from this, okay, I forgot to mention that I also facilitate or lead a church group, and we have some obligations. I've not even been meeting. There's no way. I don't know how I can meet all my obligations. I can't be in every meeting. That aside, and I'm also serving on about 4 boards. I don't even understand it myself until I started thinking about it. So, but if you ask me, I'll tell you that I'm managing my stress very well. So this week during my practicum, my site supervisor asked us, she was teaching us a tool that we can use to help families or individuals to identify their stress and also to effectively communicate amongst themselves. So as we were doing the exercise, she now asked us what our body's response to stress was. I told her I didn't know. I didn't know what my body's response to stress was because I thought I was okay. I thought I was fine. So it didn't hit me until Friday. Was it Friday or Thursday morning? I was about to get into the shower and it was as if I was hit by a lightning bolt. All of a sudden, my body just realized that I had a lot of pressure right here on my forehead. Then it hit me. This is where I carry my stress. That is my body's response to stress. And not only that, I realized that, and some of the things that stress me, which I have identified, is meeting deadlines at work with my practice, or if I have like tasks undone, those cause me a lot of stress. Or maybe I'm having problems in my relationship. That brings in a lot of stress for me as well. But the immediate stressors which I could readily identify, because I think when it hit me, I was thinking about something work related, that I had to meet a deadline or a particular task that I had. So I realized that before then, I had a lot of tension here, like on my forehead, which was there, like consistently, it was there. Then when I now thought about the added, like the stressor, it was as if I added another layer to it. So in adding another layer to it, I now felt my body, that part tightened further. Then not only that, I began to grind the teeth on the left side of my face, like I was biting down and grinding really hard. Then from the biting down really hard, I now realized that I began to feel like a tightness in my belly. Then from the tightness, my heart picked up. The rhythm of my heart picked up. It was as if it was racing. So it now hit me. It dawned on me that, oh, that's my body's response to stress. And I've been ignoring it for such a long time that my stress was already there. Like 24/7, I had this tightness. Then I now, I observed myself further and realized I wasn't breathing. During that time, I held my breath. Then throughout, that period, I noticed I wasn't breathing. I would hold my breath. My breathing was irregular. I wasn't breathing freely. I was taking shallow breaths, and sometimes I'm withholding my breath. So that means there's a problem here. I don't know how long I would have sustained that kind of response. And I've been carrying this for such a long time, so that it has begun to impair my own, impair my memory, and even in the way my perspective. I wasn't reading things correctly anymore. But I did not understand or realize that I was under stress, because my spirit is whole, but my body was telling me, and has been telling me for months now, that there's something going on, you need to watch yourself. But I didn't understand it until that morning. And throughout that day, I began to do some relaxation, and I continue till now. Like anytime I feel the tension, I start breathing exercises. I found that very, very relaxing for me. And I think, I just thought about it. I would like to share that on Broken Road, because I don't know who that can help, or who, so we ignore these signals for such a long time. And by the time the stress becomes chronic or long term, it could then begin to break down our body systems gradually. So, and in identifying our stressors, especially for those of us in abusive relationship, there's no way you won't be stressed. Just think about it. There's no way you won't be stressed. And if you're on that level for such a long time, it can be devastating to the health. So we need to sit down and consider, what are those things? Because that's what I'm also doing in my life right now. I'm also examining my life and all these roles that I've undertaken, to see what I need to do. How can I balance it? It's not that identifying your stress is going to make it go away. No, there's no magic pill that will just, I wish there was, make all the stress go. No. But in recognizing our stress and how we respond to it, it will help us to manage our lives better. It will help us to sort through relationships. One thing that my December episode, where I was misinterpreting things, helped me with, was that it helped me realize that I had started that journey, but I still could not connect my body with my stress, or to my stress. But then it helped me realize that, okay, I needed to slow down. So what I began to do at that point was, I began to examine the relationships around me, because I have too much on my plate. I cannot bear other people's burden right now. I'll just go under. So I began to look at the relationships that were causing me more stress and withdraw gradually from those ones. So that way I'll, at least in reducing, and so that way I could focus on my own stress or my own stressors, and then begin to decide on what I need to do to each of them. So that is what I'm examining now. I'm very thankful to God for our body system, because let's imagine we don't have our body telling us. We'll just keep ignoring the signs. We'll just keep ignoring it. But God gave us our body to tell, at least it's another check for us that, okay, once your body begins to feel this way, then you need to take things easy. You need to slow down. You need to examine your life. You need to examine things. You need to take stock of everything around you. Because is it really worth being in an abusive relationship that is causing you such stress that you may lose your life eventually in the long run? Is it really worth being in a hostile work environment, that is causing you such stress, amount of stress, and can lead to death or lead to diseases? One has to now take a critical look at one's life and examine it. And I like adding research to what I say. So I decided to go on, and I did not. Normally I'm like stressed out. Oh, I need to cram this, I need to put it. No. Today I printed it out and I'm going to be reading it. It's actually a study that was published by the American Psychological Association. So if you want to read it for yourself, because I'll just skim through. It was created in November 1, 2018. You can find it on their website, the www.apa.org. And the title of that research work, or the article, is Stress Effects on the Body. And it starts with, body stress affects all systems of the body, including muscles, respiratory, cardiovascular, endocrine, gastrointestinal, nervous, and reproductive systems. So I'll just pick some of the things that I noticed that I feel is important. So it talks about how it affects the musculoskeletal system of our body, and it has been associated with tension type headache and migraine headaches, because they are caused by chronic muscle tension in specific areas of our body. So that is how stress has been linked to problems with the musculoskeletal part of our body. Also, it affects our respiratory system. Okay, I'm going to read this out. It says stress and strong emotions can present with respiratory symptoms such as shortness of breath and rapid breathing, as the airway between the nose and the lungs constricts. So it causes problems in our respiratory systems, and it even triggers asthma attacks and sometimes rapid breathing or hyperventilation. Okay, so for cardiovascular, chronic stress or constant stress experienced over a prolonged period of time can contribute to long-term problems for heart and blood vessels. The consistent and ongoing increase in heart rate and the elevated levels of stress hormones and of blood pressure can take a toll on the body. This long-term ongoing stress can increase the risk for hypertension, heart attack, or stroke. So stress increases our risk for hypertension, heart attack, or stroke. We need to take stock of our lives. Then it talks about the endocrine, how it affects the endocrine through the production of the cortisol. So I don't want to go into every detail, but I just want to it says here that it brings about impaired communication in our endocrine system. Okay, and this has been linked to the future development of numerous physical and mental health conditions, which include chronic fatigue, metabolic disorders such as diabetes, obesity, depression, and immune disorders. So I'll go to the gastrointestinal. So here it says stress or exhaustion can also increase the severity of regularly occurring heartburn pain. A rare case of spasms in the esophagus can be set off by intense stress and can be easily mistaken for heart attack. For the stomach, stress may cause an unnecessary increase or decrease in appetite. Unhealthy diet can in turn deteriorate one's mood. Okay, so let's go to the bowel now. It says stress can affect digestion and what nutrients the intestines absorb. Gas production related to nutrient absorption may increase. So we have the nervous system as well. Okay, so the main thing I'll bring out from the nervous system is that chronic experiencing stressors over a prolonged period of time can result in a long-term drain on the body. As the autonomous nervous system continues to trigger physical reactions, it causes a wear and tear on the body. It's not much what chronic stress does to the nervous system, but what continuous activation of the nervous system does to the bodily systems that become problematic. I've told you, I didn't know, constantly I was having this tightness, like it was just there. And something interesting happened. That day, after I identified my body's response, my daughter, she's my baby, she keeps telling me, "Mommy, you have wrinkles. Mommy, you have wrinkles. I'm like, no, I don't have wrinkles. No, is it that I have wrinkles? I tell her that. Then that morning, after it dawned on me where my stress was, I now went to her. She was still, she was just she was still in bed, she was awake, but, just trying to get out of bed then. So I went and laid beside her. I was like, Tony, so where does mommy's wrinkles form? Do you know where she touched? My forehead. She touched my forehead. So even it was showing, and the problem was that when I look in the mirror, I've relaxed my face, so I don't see it. And she's been telling me for months now that, mommy, you have wrinkles. Mommy, you have wrinkles. I'm like, no, I don't have wrinkles. Or is it that you have wrinkles? But I do have wrinkles because I carry my stress in my forehead. So I want it to wrinkle up when and it's just there, prolonged, consistent, always there. It's only when I add something, if not because I had to add something else to the stress that I was layering up there, that was when it hit me that, oh, this is how I feel stress. Okay, so I'll go on to the male reproductive system. It says here that that because it increases the production of cortisol, so excess amount of that cortisol can affect the normal biochemical functioning of the male reproductive organ system. So like sexual desire, chronic stress, ongoing stress over an extended period of time, it can affect the production of testosterone and result in a decline in sex drive or libido, and can even cause erectile dysfunction or impotence. Okay, so then reproduction, chronic stress can affect the sperm production and maturation, so it causes more problems for conception. Okay, so the researchers have found that men who experienced 2 or more stressful life events in the past year had a lower percentage of sperm motility, that's the ability of the sperm to swim, and a lower percentage of sperm of normal morphology, that is size and shape, compared with men who did not experience any stressful life event. Now imagine you're living consistently, every time you are living under a state of pressure or stress. This just says that those who have experienced 2 or more stressful life events, but somebody who is living under chronic stress or persistent long-term stress, your situation, your home environment is stressful. Maybe you have a spouse, a wife who is abusive towards you. She could be abusing you psychologically, consistently, so you're under attack all the time. So now imagine what is going on with your body system. Okay, so it now goes on to talk about the diseases of the reproductive, like other diseases of the reproductive system. When stress affects the immune system, the body can become vulnerable to infection. So for men, they can begin to have infections in the testes, prostate gland, and urethra. And this altogether affects the normal functioning of the men's reproductive system. So for the female, stress can affect menstruation among adolescent girls and women in several ways. High levels of stress has been associated with absent or irregular periods, or even making the periods more painful, or changes in the length of those cycles. For women as well, stress affects the sexual desire. So it can bring on feelings of depression. Then let me see what else is really important here to share, and also reduce the sexual desire of women. Then pregnancy, stress can negatively impact a woman's ability to conceive, the health of her pregnancy, and her postpartum adjustment. Depression is the leading complication of pregnancy and postpartum adjustment, and all this can be triggered by stress. Excess stress increases the likelihood of developing depression and anxiety during the time of pregnancy. And it can also negatively impact fetal and ongoing childhood development and disrupt bonding with the baby in weeks and months following delivery. Then stress has also been linked to making premenstrual symptoms worse or more difficult to cope with. Then it can make menopause worse. Emotional distress may cause the physical symptoms of menopause to become worse. Okay, then diseases of the reproductive system. When stress is high, there is increased chance of exacerbation of symptoms of reproductive disease states such as herpes, simplex virus, or polycystic ovarian syndrome. The diagnosis and treatment of reproductive cancers can cause significant stress, which warrants additional attention and support. So all this said, we need to understand our body's response to stress so we can take better care of ourselves. And also, it will help us identify those things that are bringing us stress. If the relationship is bringing us stress, we'll know that, okay, this relationship can shorten my life. Is it really worth it? I'm not only talking about maybe a marital relationship now. It could be a work relationship. It could even be in a religious setting. If you find yourself in a church where you're being psychologically abused, you're being coerced by the overseer to do things which normally you will not do. You're made to feel bad. You're being controlled, and it's impairing your mental and your physical state. It might be wise to leave that kind of environment. This is to help us understand what is it that causes us stress. So our body's response teaches us that, okay, maybe the thought of this person or what this person is doing to you is causing your body to react in this way. That is a source of stress. So the important thing is for us to identify the stress, where it is coming from, and then be able to take action about what to do with that stress. So one of the things that we need to do is to find a way to manage it. I found the breathing exercise is very relaxing for me. So then also some suggestions from this article which I read was maintaining a healthy social support network. Healthy social support network. Not everybody should be within your cycle. You have to know those people who are contributing positively to it, or those people that are causing you problems. Let me give you an example. I remember during the time when I was going through a lot of personal problems. This was like years and years ago. I had this friend that was she was one of my supports then, but she's such a person that she herself is delicate, you understand, and she takes on, like, if you bring a problem to her, she'll take that problem so seriously. So I was giving her my own problem, and that problem that I was giving her was actually causing her physical problem, like it was raising her own blood pressure, and it was making her ill. My problems were making her ill. To be honest with you, now we're not that close anymore, but I still appreciate what she did for me then. But I was a high source of stress for her. So let us examine those around us who might be giving us that much stress or even more, and try and withdraw whatever it is. So you want a healthy network. So another thing is your network, apart from them not being toxic, you want them also to be functioning very well, because you don't want a situation where you need somebody to talk to and you're causing that person problems. So you need somebody that also has that stamina to be able to withstand that, whatever it is that you're bringing. And if you don't have, there's nothing wrong with therapy. You can find a good therapist that would help you sort through your problems. It is not demonic, it is not evil. There's nothing wrong with therapy. Then also, exercise can help. So if you're somebody that relieves your stress with regular exercise, it can help you as well. Then the breathing exercises, I found it very helpful. So I'm going to leave us with this. So what I did was, that I tried as much as possible to breathe deeply. And one way you can do that is by, when you're breathing in, you first place your palm, the palm of your hand, on your belly button. Then as you're breathing in, you're pushing out your belly against the palm of your arm, right? Of your hand, rather, sorry, against the palm of your hand. Then when you're breathing out, you're drawing your belly against your spine as you breathe out. That helps you to breathe deeply, and I found it very relaxing. And since I've been practicing it, since I realized on Thursday, and I've been practicing it, I've seen an improvement in my memory and even in my interaction. I'm not just, because normally I'm not patient because I'm stressed, so I'm irritable, I'm going off on a fly. So, but then when I started relaxing, I began to communicate more effectively, listen better, and I've just practicing that within the past couple of days has been very helpful to me. So that is what we have. So for this week, for those of us that have not recognized our body's response, please spend time this week. Don't rush yourself. It will come, but just keep, be rolling it through your mind. What's my body's response? What's my body's response? Then, if anything happens that causes you some stress, or, just watch your body's reaction, or something that ought to, maybe your whatever it is that that you may be going through, that, that this should be stressful. Just watch your body's reaction to it, or even any news, anything. Maybe you have issues with you in your relationship. When those issues come up, how is your body responding to that? That would help. Thank you so much again for joining me. Hope to catch you next week. And thank you, and have a blessed week.